Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and today we're looking at Fairy Tail 504, The Rift. So I'm trying to follow a slightly different structure to my videos now. So we've got this introduction, kind of review of what Fairy Tail's about, gonna be a summary of what's happening so far, and then we get into the breakdown and a bit of a gobbledygook at the end. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So, Fairy Tail as a whole is a series by Hiro Mashima, and it gets published on Kodansha's Shonen magazine. So for the most part it's a highly enjoyable series, and a lot of people can say that for the most part it is enjoyable, bar a few things. I take it for what it is, and that in fact there is a manga that is magical, that anything is possible, and you know, people can die and come back to life and everything else in between. For a lot of it, a lot of people find issue with certain things, and they call BS and certain things. So it is a type of series that you've got to take it for what it is. It is literally just an enjoyable shonen manga that's about magic and the journey of Natsu to become the best, I guess, with a lot of grey in between. Which leads me on to the next segment. So the story so far, other than how many chapters we've seen so far, so I won't go into every single piece, but an overriding theme throughout this story was Zeref and his demons. One of the demons that he created was END. People have been talking about the legend of END for such a long time. We found out as readers not too long ago that END was in fact a nefarious Natsu Dragneel, who also happened to be Zeref's brother, naming him, you know, Zeref Dragneel. Now we also know there's another Dragneel, but you know, that's a separate story. So END has just been activated with the one goal in killing Zeref, and that's Natsu, and Grey's goal is basically to kill him. We'll get into the breakdown in this chapter review, but that's just to give you an idea. They're just a backlash in this chapter. This chapter has 5 points, but really 3 segmented structures to this video. Location wise, so you've got the whole thing with Natsu and Grey, which takes up probably about a good third, a little bit more of this chapter. We then have a little bit about kind of Juvia and like Lucy, and then we have some stuff about Mavis, Erza and Eileen. So let's talk about the situation with Grey. So, you know, Destiny versus Hatred, END versus Demon Slayer, END being Demon, Natsu versus Grey. It's all building up now. We find out that regardless of what Grey says to Natsu's, once he's in END form, his main goal is to kill Zeref, and that's all he cares about. And that's pretty much the first point. So this is what he gets when he speaks to Invel. Invel tells him that, you know, he's END and he is Zeref's younger brother. I don't think it doesn't specifically say that he was dead and he brought him back to life. He just tells him they're related. That's point number 1. Misinformation, kind of giving that information, kind of like news nowadays, but let's not get political. Point number 1. So point number 2, the actual fight. It's pretty even, to be honest with you. They are going, I don't know if they're going all out, so to speak, but considering they take up like 10 or 11 of the 24 pages available in this manga, granted a few of them are cover pages and everything else, it's just, you want more. And this is coming from me, a Fairy Tail fan who enjoys it, who's super hyped behind it, looking forward to it. A lot of it is, oh, move out the way, no I will not, move out the way, no I will not, what are you talking about, It very much is that. We have some moves, and you can see that Grey's arm is fully resonating with the power of the Demon Slayer. I'm assuming this will continue to grow till it gets to its form, and we can see a similar kind of thing happening to Natsu's arms. So their transformations are very much still ongoing. We haven't seen the final forms, but not a lot happens other than them starting to fight and destruction is everywhere. Let's move on to point number 3, motivations, Lucy, Juvia. So point number 3, Lucy, Juvia, motivations, and so on and so forth. So first of all, when you look at the story so far in this chapter, there's like a little element to do with being human, and I guess that's more to do with the idea of people that are from Alvarez haven't really had the same type of upbringing culturally, and you know, relationships is different, which is understandable in Brandish's case because her mother died. Now, going past that, let's look at everything else. So, Lucy and Juvia are basically the only things that can really stop Grey and Natsu, because one of the key elements in their fight that's talked about in this chapter is the flashbacks to them. So one of the reasons that Natsu went overboard was because he saw Lucy like that, and one of the reasons why Grey went overboard was because Juvia practically died. So that's one of the things that's kind of enraging them, and that's one of the things that's engulfing them in so much passion and energy and, hard-headedness that they must complete their goals and do what they need to do. The problem you have and the plot holes you have with this are a few different things. So, one, Grey having Juvia's blood and that type of magic, there should be some type of resonation being that she's alive because it's the same type of magic, so it's from the same person. It's kind of like how when you talk about cells and division, sometimes they can attract each other and stuff like that. So there should be something somewhere that helps him understand that maybe Juvia is alive, but he's kind of fully engulfed in rage. And basically he's not seeing that. And the thing with the Natsu thing is, so Lucy woke up to see that Natsu wasn't there, but he held Lucy and she was passed out and she was covered in blood and he thought she died. But how would that be possible now if she didn't, it wasn't her blood? So it's a bit weird in the sense that, okay, it might be Di Maria's blood, but he would know that he was fighting. So it's like he turned to END after that because his eyes went blank. But when did he fight Di Maria? It's not completely gel timeline wise there. So he's basically saying that seeing Lucy knocked out and then Juvia knocked out is what fueled him. But there's a bit of timeline issue with the Natsu side of things. I'm sure you can explain to me what your thoughts are in the comment section below. But that's just weird. Ultimately, Juvia and Lucy are the ones that are going to calm things down. But that's just point number 3. So, point number 4. Point number 4 was interesting because it's to do with being overwhelmed. Now, one thing I liked about this was, although it might be a waste of a panel for most people, but we got to see the sheer difference between Fairy Tail and the Alvarez Empire. And this in showing in terms of black and white. So you see a picture and you see it literally looks like fire. There's so many of the Alvarez Empire, and you can see that it's taking its toll on people like Makarov and other people in Fairy Tail. Basically, to cut a long story short, Erza steps in and she does what Erza does, and she basically says, "We must fight on and do what we normally do." So the trope in the trope of the main character stepping up, or one of the main characters stepping up and doing what they normally do. So not much new in that area, but just seeing the vast difference was something to think about. Now, because the author showed us this, it has to be something crazy that's going to deal with all this fodder, because this fodder is just basically a plot point that's wasting a lot of time. But I'm sure we'll find out, and I'm guessing it's something to do with the other Dragneel. I'm just thinking he's there. He's not really done other than send people to heaven. Sorry. So I'm sure it's something to do with him, I'm guessing. That's point number 4. Point number 5 was very much set up, but it was interesting because literally as soon as Erza turns up, Eileen turns up, you see that stupid eye thing again. I call it stupid because she literally looks at everything, she can see everything, but she's not flinching to Erza. Erza doesn't recognize her, doesn't recognize the magic. There's like this big story that needs to be told. It's not being told at all. I'm hoping this was what happens very soon, but right now Eileen's focus is purely on Mavis before anything else. So what is setting up is the Scarlet Witch versus the Fairy Tactician. The counter-attack has begun. Mavis has got in there. She's now free from Invel's control. She's now saying, "Believe in me, I will show you the way. Let's move on. Let's do something about this whole Alvarez situation. I will show you the way." So the counteract is, the counter attacking has begun. They'll have a plan, and the name of the next chapter, 505, is Trump Card. No, it's not Donald Trump we're talking about. It is like the secret plan. Is the Trump card making reference to the other Dragneel, or is it something that Mavis has got up her sleeve? We'll have to wait till next week. It's interesting. You can see I'm not overly enthusiastic about what's going to happen next week. What I really want to look forward to is the Eileen and Erza situation, the Natsu and Grey situation getting resolved. I want to see a big fight. I want to see someone fighting August. I want someone fighting the other Dragneel, and I want someone fighting Zeref. Let's really get the action moving forward. I know with you, when you do all these things, it tends to kind of finish the story a lot quicker than people would like, and people complain about it, but people are going to complain anyway. I'm looking forward to that. I've not given up on this story, and I'm sure there's a lot more story to give and get through. We've still got the whole Aknologia thing. I can't wait, but it was a meh chapter for me. I mean, the Natsu stuff was cool, but then the rest simmered. It was kind of like a slow burning chapter to set up something else, which I'm sure will escalate everything. But that's all for me. Hope you enjoyed the review. Hope you enjoyed the chapter. Let me know your thoughts and theories and the considerations in the comment section below. And as always, if you haven't, please subscribe. I greatly appreciate that, and I'll see you next time. Peace.